Hi, welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about hacking HTML without knowing any code. What I mean by this is you will be able to set up landing pages and basic web pages without coding. Understanding how to do that without knowing code is a great way to get your feet wet and get yourself confident. So let's get started. What I want you to do now is go ahead and open up your HTML editor. You can pause this video if you need to, then we'll continue. You know, we're using a tool that will allow us to see what the user sees via the browser without having to add our own code, right? This is the normal view. At the very bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see the normal tab, as you can see, and then you're going to see the source tab. The source tab is going to reveal the actual HTML code to us. As I stated in the previous video, when I went over the basic structure, you can see there is an HTML tag here. There is a heading tag, and the heading tag gets closed here, and then the body starts here, and so forth. I will talk more about open and close tags and the concept of that in the next video. Don't worry about that right now. Let's just focus on utilizing the tool so that you can use it, get confident, get your feet wet right now. The nice thing about most HTML editors is they look kind of like Microsoft Word, but a simplified version of it. See, what you see is what you get. What you see in a normal tab is what you get. Let's say, for example, that we are going to say dog training, and then we highlight that, and we could center align that, as you can see here. We can left align, right align, and so forth. You can hold it, and you can make it bigger by clicking here. You can also make it smaller. What you see here is what the user is going to see, and that is the what you see is what you get HTML editor. You can change the color, let's say to red, and you can also change the background to something like yellow. You can also go further, and you can add things like tables. Let's go back here and remove the highlight, and then we can add a table. HTML editors will give you the ability to specify how many columns and how many rows you have. In this case, I'm going to do 4, and you can specify the cell spacing, which is how much space you have in between the cells. This is a table here. We can always tweak it if we would like to. If we right-click here, for example, and we go to Table Cell Properties, then we go to Table, we can add more rows. So if we are not satisfied that it only has 2, we can always add 10. If we're not so satisfied by 2 columns, we could add something like 5. And we could also remove the border. You can see the border here. We can remove it so that the users do not see the border and it becomes like this. If we do that, then the user can't see the actual border and they don't realize that there's a table there. Then you can start adding text. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. In addition to that, you can also add images. You can add forms. You can also add links to other websites. And you can make sure that they open in a new window. So if somebody clicks on your link and you want them to stay in your web page, but you want to link them to another page and have it open in a new window, you can do that. Let's use something like google.com as an example. You can say the link is to be opened in a new window. When somebody clicks this link, it's going to open a brand new window. That way, they don't forget about your own window. I'm going to show you the code to do this, because once you have memorized this code, it's going to make your life a lot easier. You're not going to have to fully rely on HTML editor, which would just slow you down. If we take a look in the source, we can see that it has changed from the basic HTML header, body, and so forth. Now, we have a huge empty table here, which is the table we made. That's what's so easy about HTML. You can specify. You can read this, and you can say, okay, here's a table. Here is the actual link right here. It'll make more sense. Don't worry about it. Don't let this code freak you out or anything like that. I just wanted to show you that it changed, and it changed slightly. You can also add things like images. So, if we click on image here, we can specify the location of the image. One thing to be aware of with HTML editors, is when you specify the location of the image, you can run into some problems. We'll pick one image here by default. Let's say, for example, that we're going to choose this image here. Now, as you can see, this image location is pointing straight to my computer, which is not really what we want. We want it to point to the actual website. Now, in general, I'd say the easiest way to do it is simply to link directly to the image itself. I would put the image file name here, and I would remove everything else before that. That way, the image actually shows up. You can see the image because right now it is pointing to the website. If you know how to add an image via the actual HTML code, and you know the HTML code itself, then you won't have to face this problem. You will know how to fix this issue, which is why I say we are going to focus on these basic tags, and then you'll learn exactly how to make these tags. They're standard. They did not change, and because that is the case, my hope is by the end of this video course, when you run into these issues, you will no longer have these issues again, because you will have the right weapon, which is the code, in hand and in your brain. So, that's how to add an image. We'll talk more about the other codes in the next video.